Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, what is the schizoprenogenic mother? So this is a theory that was based on research that occurred in the 1930s and continued all the way through really the 70s. The word schizoprenogenic means something that causes schizophrenia, meaning it's etiological. And of course, mother refers to the mother of an individual with schizophrenia. So in this original theory, it was thought that an overprotective and rejecting mother could cause schizophrenia in a child. Now, the early research on this theory, as I mentioned, was in the 30s. And there was a study with 45 participants who had schizophrenia. 2 of the participants had mothers that were classified as rejecting, and 33 were classified as overprotective. So early on, we can see there are some methodological problems with the research. There was an association drawn that really wasn't there in the first place. But this led to further studies in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And a lot of these studies tended to support this theory. And the idea of the schizoprenogenic mother was expanded on. So this maternal style involves someone who is dominating, cold, distant, overprotecting, rejecting, as I mentioned. Someone who had poor boundaries, was intrusive, hostile, aggressive, and demanding. So that definition was expanded, and also the idea of the schizoprenogenic family was created. So the maternal style was expanded to a whole family relational style that contained the same components, rejecting, distant, cold, all the same components, and again it was believed to have caused schizophrenia. Now, with a lot of this research from the 30s all the way through the 70s, we saw really case studies with small sample sizes like that one I mentioned in the 30s, and studies that did not have control groups, meaning they weren't studying the maternal styles of individuals who did not have schizophrenia. They were only looking at the maternal styles of individuals who did. So a number of research methodology problems in the majority of these studies, and a real commitment to this belief led to this theory being popular for a long time. In the 70s and the 80s, we saw studies come out that started to question the schizoprenogenic mother theory and suggested that there really wasn't hardly any association between that maternal style and the developing of schizophrenia. For a long time, the theory of the schizoprenogenic mother was based on the idea that this maternal style was overrepresented with people who had schizophrenia, and it turns out it really wasn't. The maternal style, and to some extent the family style, is real. We do see individuals who are dominating, cold, distant, and all these other features of the schizoprenogenic mother. However, there's no connection between this and developing schizophrenia. So what can we learn from the schizoprenogenic mother? Well, there's a lot of lessons here with this particular theory. This theory was popular for around 40 years, even though there was no evidence to support it. So this again speaks to the quality of research and careful interpretation. Now, originally, of course, there was thought to be an association, but there never was an association. So this inaccurate association was expanded to causality. We have to be very careful when converting association or correlation over to causality. Those constructs aren't the same thing. However, this seems to be a common mistake in a number of fields, including mental health treatment and psychopathology. So we know the theory of the schizoprenogenic mother is really a myth. So what does cause schizophrenia? Well, we don't believe there's a huge contribution from parenting style. We know that parenting style doesn't cause schizophrenia, but we don't think it really has much of a contribution at all. A lot of the research today is centered on biology, genetics, and there's fairly good evidence that genetics play a significant role in the developing of schizophrenia. We do think there are environmental factors as well, of course, and this really makes schizophrenia like a lot of other mental health disorders when it comes to etiology. We know that there's a biological component, heritability, and a stressor component, environmentability. But really, in terms of what the exact mixture of those two is that leads to schizophrenia or any other mental illness, we're really not sure. It's important to note that even though the schizoprenogenic mother theory doesn't work, doesn't make sense based on evidence, poor parenting styles can have negative effects in the areas of mental health and other areas. So we shouldn't just take this particular lesson and say that parenting style isn't important. We just have to be careful about how we interpret research and how we conduct research. I hope you found this description of the schizophrenic mother to be interesting. Thanks for watching.